Good morning and thank you for being here. Today, I'll presenting a part of my broader PhD research titled Sociocultural Dimension of Heritage Redevelopment, Community Values and Engagement in Geelong's Historic Wool Stores. Geelong is a regional city close to Melbourne in the southwest of Australia. These two maps show the city's location globally and its plan in closer detail. Geelong's strategic location, ideal for both grazing and shipping, enabled its development as an industrial city. While it initially served as a key departure point for the goldfield, that advantage eventually shifted to Melbourne. Geelong's prosperity was then built on the wool industry, which positioned the city as a major hub for wool storage and export. This foundation was later complemented by the growth of major manufacturing industry, including the Ford Motor Company, Alcoa Aluminium, Corail Distillery, and Pilkington Brothers Glassworks. The city central area, highlighted in red in the image on the right, was once the heart of the wool stores precinct. It still contains remnants of those historic wool stores, which form the focus of this research. Owing to the global issue of deindustrialization, a large number of industrial buildings in Geelong have become vacant, and their future in the city remain as an unsolved question. Here you can see one vacant building, aged more than 100 and located in the city central area, named former Denis Lascelles Wool Store. This building's future is under dispute between the state government and the property developer. The state government raised opposition against this design reuse plan with the argument that the developer has neglected the building's contribution to a valuable part of Geelong's history and identity by proposing a general design idea looks like a peanut-shaped tower. Getting to know about this dilemma in a historic building in the central Geelong, the research team took a step back and explored the concept of heritage and found that since the initial stages of acknowledging the imperative to protect board heritage, historic landscapes have generally faced two dominant black and white scenarios, heritage listed and not heritage listed, each of which has promoted a specific limitation. In the white scenario, if a historic landscape possessed outstanding universal value, it would be heritage listed and enter the process of preserving and showcasing. In this scenario, given the high preservation status assigned to historic urban area, it is difficult to implement strategies other than involving a strict preservation. However, in the opposite scenario, historic buildings without the recognized outstanding universal value would be subject to potential demolition and at risk of memory and legacy loss. Thus, this value-based viewpoint of heritage has limitations because it objectifies historical material and recognizes them as non-renewable, fragile, and precious objects that should be materially preserved and carefully curated. Laura Jane Smith critically called this approach to heritage the authorized heritage discourse. Rodney Harrison called this approach to heritage the official heritage, and other scholars refer to it as a value-based model of conservation. Although the associate principles of the concept of heritage have undergone several amendments and shifted their focus from traditional fabric-centered approach to evolving concept of heritage, their over-reliance on the intrinsic value of place and the emphasis on preservation can still potentially hinder the advancement of adaptive reuse and developmental projects, and limitations remain. Following this shift, a context-dependent and community-consulted heritage management has been promoted. Building on the evolved understanding of heritage concept that emphasize the importance of context and community consultation, the research returned to that contested vacant former wool store. This site is located near 3 other former wool stores that have already undergone redevelopment, each following a distinct approach. The current slide shows the juxtaposition of these cases in relation to one another in different colors. To explore local values and preferences regarding these heritage outcomes, the research team conducted a community survey. By examining the different redevelopment scenarios, the survey aimed to assess which type of intervention best aligned with community interests and values. I will now briefly present each case studies. As shown earlier, the building highlighted in green on the map is a vacant wool store built in 1919. Following its closure, the building lost its function and has remained unused. It has undergone a heritage listing process, but was ultimately unsuccessful. The building shown in red on the map is a Delgety wool store constructed in 1893. It was repurposed in 1996 to become Deakin University waterfront campus. This building has not been formally heritage listed. The building shown in blue is another former Denis Lascelles wool store, originally built in 1909. However, in 1990, it was demolished due to safety concerns despite being protected under heritage legislation. 20 years later, it was reconstructed on the same site as a Transport Accident Commission office building, and the final wool store, shown in purple, was built in 1872 and repurposed as a National Wool Museum in 1988. It is formally heritage listed. The image on the left shows the old and new exterior views of the building, while the two images on the right display the current interior space. As you notice, each of these secondary cases represent a distinct redevelopment scenarios, all of which were presented to local residents during the survey. The survey began with a short video illustrating these different approaches to treating historic building. And here is a video that you can watch. Geelong residents and those working or studying in Geelong were selected as the survey population. The survey is distributed both online and in person to reach a wider audience and ensure maximum participation. It ultimately gained 233 participants, 60% of which were female and 40% male. There was similar range in Australian and immigrant participants, 60 to 40. Meanwhile, there was almost equal distribution in terms of their age. UNESCO Chair Anna Pereira Roders has introduced a cultural value framework comprising 8 values: ecological, political, economic, scientific, aesthetic, age, historic, and social. Drawing on this framework, the survey foundational question asked participants to rate these cultural values within the context of 3 redeveloped historic building scenarios. Among the 3, Deakin University scenario received the highest overall rating, followed closely by National Wool Museum. However, the National Wool Museum scenario ranked highest for the values of age and historic. In contrast, the contemporary THC office building received the lowest rating across all values, except economic, where it scored higher than the National Wool Museum, but still fell short of Deakin University. The survey then directly asked participants about their idea on these redeveloped historic building. The results demonstrate Deakin University as the most favored scenario and the most frequently visited building. Then participants were asked which feature they liked most within each redeveloped building. Historical preservation emerged as a top choice, particularly for National Wool Museum and Deakin University. This was followed by a strong appreciation for architectural redesign in Deakin University scenario. In contrast, Transport Accident Commission office building received the highest share of negative response, with half of the participants indicating they liked nothing about it. The conclusion can be attained from this research is that heritage conservation can move beyond listing status. Heritage listing alone does not guarantee protection or public support. As seen in the demolition of the listed wool store and the negative response to its replacement. Secondly, adaptive reuse can surpass heritage listing in public values. Even non-listed building, when thoroughly repurposed, can attract more public engagement than protected one, evident in the high visitation and favorability of the repurposed Deakin University building. Thirdly, demolition and reconstruction prioritize economic gain over cultural values. While economically driven redevelopment may benefit financial interests, it often overlooks important cultural, social, and historical value. Next, strict preservation can limit a building's broader relevance. Museification may protect historical feature, but can restrict everyday use and reduce public connection to the site. Public desired adaptive reuse offer a balanced future path. Reusing historic buildings in ways that align with community needs while conserving their historical aspect present the most sustainable and widely supported heritage strategy. Thanks for listening.